Once upon a time, in a quiet town surrounded by low hills and long empty roads, there lived a young man named Daniel, a man whose life looked calm from the outside but felt endlessly noisy inside his own mind. Daniel was not poor, he was not sick, and nothing dramatic had ever happened to him yet. Every morning when he opened his eyes, his thoughts arrived before he could even get out of bed, filling his head with worries, doubts, and questions that had no clear answers. He worried about things he had said years ago, about mistakes no one else remembered, and about futures that existed only in his imagination, and these thoughts followed him as he brushed his teeth, prepared his breakfast, and walked through the same streets he had walked 1,000 times before. At work, Daniel sat at his desk and stared at his screen, reading the same lines again and again, not because the work was difficult, but because his mind refused to stay still long enough to focus on a single task. Because of this restless mind, his patience slowly disappeared. His sleep became shallow and broken. And even when good things happened in his life, his thoughts immediately searched for what could go wrong next. He laughed less, listened less, and lived less, not because he wanted to, but because his mind was always somewhere else, replaying the past or running ahead into a future that had not arrived. Daniel knew something was wrong, so he tried to fix himself in the ways most people do, watching motivational videos late at night, reading articles about success and positive thinking, and telling himself that tomorrow he would finally feel better. For a short while, these things seemed to help, but the moment he was alone again, the thoughts returned, louder and heavier than before, as if they had only been waiting for the noise to stop. One evening, after another sleepless night and a long day that left him mentally exhausted, Daniel decided to walk outside the town, hoping that the quiet roads and open air might calm his mind, even if only for a few minutes. As he walked, the sun was already low, the streets were nearly empty, and the world felt slower than usual, yet his thoughts continued to rush, pulling him in different directions at the same time. That was when he noticed a small old workshop by the roadside, its wooden door open, and inside an elderly man sat calmly repairing a broken chair, moving slowly, carefully, and without any sign of hurry. Daniel stopped and watched from a distance, struck by the contrast between his own racing thoughts and the old man's quiet presence, and for the first time that day, his mind paused long enough for him to feel curious instead of anxious. After a moment, Daniel stepped closer and spoke, asking the old man how it was possible to work with such calm when his own mind never stopped and felt like it was controlling his entire life. The old man looked up, studied Daniel's face for a brief moment, and smiled gently, not with surprise or judgment, but with understanding. He did not give advice, and he did not ask questions. Instead, he simply invited Daniel inside and pointed to a small wooden stool near the door where he could sit and rest. The workshop was simple and quiet, filled with the smell of old wood and tools that had been used for many years. And Daniel felt a strange sense of relief just sitting there without needing to explain himself. Without saying much, the old man walked to a small table, picked up a clear glass and a bottle of water, and slowly filled the glass until it was completely full, so full that even the smallest movement could cause the water to spill. He placed the glass into Daniel's hands and gave him a simple task, asking him to walk outside, circle the workshop, and return without spilling even a single drop of water. Daniel looked at the glass, confused by how simple the task seemed, and for a moment he wondered if this was some kind of joke. Still, he agreed to try, because something about the old man's calm made him want to listen, even without understanding why. Holding the glass carefully, Daniel stepped outside, where the ground was uneven. Small stones pressed against his shoes, a dog barked somewhere nearby, and a truck passed loudly on the road, shaking the air around him. Daniel felt his hands tremble slightly, and for a moment his thoughts tried to pull him away, reminding him of work, of problems, and of worries that had followed him all day. But then he looked at the water. He focused on the surface of the water, on keeping it steady, and on the simple act of placing one foot in front of the other without rushing. As he walked slowly around the workshop, The world continued as usual. People talked in the distance, birds flew overhead, and the wind moved through the trees, yet Daniel noticed none of it. His entire attention stayed with the glass, the water, and the careful movement of his hands. And for the first time in a long while, his mind was not jumping between thoughts. When he finally returned to the workshop, the glass was still full, not a single drop missing. And Daniel looked up with surprise, realizing that several minutes had passed without the usual noise inside his head. The old man smiled and asked Daniel if he had noticed the barking dog, the passing truck, or the people nearby. Daniel thought for a moment, then slowly shook his head, admitting that he had seen and heard nothing except the water in the glass. Nodding gently, the old man explained that this was exactly how the mind worked, because when attention was scattered, thoughts took control, but when attention was focused, thoughts naturally became quiet. He told Daniel that he had not stopped the world, silenced the sounds, or changed his surroundings, but had simply chosen where his attention stayed. For the first time, Daniel understood that controlling his thoughts did not mean fighting them, forcing them away, or trying to silence them, because fighting only gave them more power. The old man explained that thoughts were like the barking dog outside, always making noise, always demanding attention, but there was no need to chase them, argue with them, or follow them. All that was needed was the ability to choose what to focus on and to return attention gently whenever it wandered. As Daniel walked back toward town, the sky slowly changed color, the road remained the same, and the sounds around him did not disappear, yet something inside him had shifted. When a thought appeared, he noticed it without panic, without judgment, and without following it, returning his attention to his steps, his breathing, and the present moment. That night, Daniel slept more deeply than he had in months, not because his life had changed, but because he had learned a simple truth. When you control your attention, your thoughts lose their power. And when your mind becomes focused, life becomes calm and clear again.